All right, everybody. It is game number 4, and I talked about how important this was. So let's quickly get to the players and where they're spawning. We got the Blue Zerg player on the top of Vonnie Research Station. He is representing Team Acer. And with that first win, might be just getting the hang of this series now, and maybe we'll see him, keep up that good play. So we do have your Bly. And against him, going to be the player that rocketed out to an early 2-0 start, getting halfway there to first place victory, but halfway is not, it's not done. I mean, still got work to do. So let's see if we can get back on track. Representing Brawl Esports, guys, it is KiToO. So once again, I do want to take this time to talk a little bit about this event that you guys are enjoying right now. It's called Rival StarCraft League Season 2, and it's been going on for a couple months now, hosted by Rival Gaming, organized by them, and financed the prize pool by a variety of organizations, including Rival, as well as Brawl Esports, another major sponsor of this event. And the best part of it to me is the fact that they're, a North American thing. I mean, we've talked about the deterioration of the North American scene for StarCraft, and to have somebody step up to create something like this. And of course, this is not to say that it's, only for North American players, because of course both these guys are European, but just, that there is signs of life in NA. And I think with that, it's important to really show our love and support for these guys who are responsible for this event, and they put in their time and effort. So please follow here on twitch.tv/RSLSC2, because unless I'm mistaken, they have plans for Season 3 as well. And it's only, it's on an upward trend. Season 1 kind of was a smaller affair, smaller prize pool. Now, we're looking at $600 here, of which $275 have already been distributed to some of the players that dropped out in the last few days. So yeah, guys, follow on Twitch here, as well as twitter.com/RSLSC2 or at RSLSC2 for updates on what they'll do for next season, as we are closing out this one. So Bly getting aggressive early with Lings, and this is the aggressive Bly that we are accustomed to seeing. This is almost Temple Bane. This is Temple Bane. Been talking so much about RSL. We got something crazy about to happen. KiToO here, gonna lose a few drones, but a good split saves the bulk of them. Remember, he can afford to lose some, as he is ahead in the drone count, because Bly is all in on this. 10 pull Bane means you have only 9 drones. Oh, KiToO just gonna have to let the last Banes hit, and he is down 9 to 10 workers. So the funny thing about this is I firmly remember KiToO doing the same exact strategy on this very map against my teammate Gamja in an ace match. It was the 5th game in a best of 5. He did the same exact thing, 10 pull Bane, and Bly tried to serve him a little bit of his own medicine here. Was it worth it? Well, it's even. It actually is really even. I mean, Bly was up a little bit. Actually, it's not even. You know why? Because KiToO right now has a queen. Let me double check that. Yeah, he does. So he has a queen. He's already got inject going. Bly has yet to get his. So even though, after that Baneling, fight and battle going on, with both players ending up having almost the same number of drones, now KiToO's going to pull ahead a lot faster. So hats off to him for a marvelous hold there, and the drone split is a huge part of that. I mean, when someone comes with Temple Bane, you're bound to lose units. Like, there's no way you can get out of that without losing anything, unless your opponent, accidentally explodes all the Banes or something, or unloads them into the hatchery, which would just be comical, right, at this level of play. So for KiToO to have held like that is brilliant. It really is. And we've seen early poor starts doom Bly, in game number 2, and we could see him heading for something similar again in this game because of what just transpired. But for now, KiToO is just going to continue droning up there. He's actually only just slightly ahead of Bly, but he has more supply overall by 9. One thing that Bly has over KiToO is he doesn't have the Baneling Nest. KiToO doesn't quite have that, although he does have his natural already finished. So again, KiToO just throughout this game so far having just a little more production capacity for drones, whether it was the queen advantage earlier or now the second base. So right now Bly finishing up with his speed very shortly. He may look to be aggressive here. He stopped droning. He's cut his drones. He felt like he didn't feel comfortable with the amount of damage he did with his Temple Bane, and now he wants to take matters into his own hands once more and getting some more damage. Now KiToO should have seen these coming, okay? He's had the Overlord spread covering the top, so he knows he needs to prepare to defend here. Does he have the time, though? He does. This is Bonnie Research Station. Wonderful thing about it, nice narrow choke. 2 queens, have it all figured out. Plug in that ramp, got the spine on top as well. And KiToO has to understand too that, and probably understands too, that Bly would feel like he needed to do damage because he was behind. This just isn't a great map to do it on as far as trying to rush Lings. And now Bly has fallen even further behind because of that. It's always the trade-off, you know. You can just stick with the plan and macro from behind and maybe never catch up, or you can take matters into your own hands, get aggressive, proactive, whatever you want to call it. But if it doesn't work, then you just dig yourself a bigger hole. And right now Bly down by 6 workers, down by 15 supply in total. And again, just no creep spread from it. It just doesn't... I mean, Game 2, I explained it away as, you know, he was behind on queens and economy. I guess that's likely the same thing here. You know, he got his queen later than KiToO did, and the second he gets up, of course, he's going to want to just inject like crazy with that thing. So no tumors to spare, but again, whether or not it's justifiable given the circumstance, it's still an advantage for KiToO. I mean, we're looking at more mobility on his side of the map for defense. His reinforcements come out faster, and of course, vision. So KiToO now, good spot. Gonna be attacking with these links into the main base of Bly. Bly has a lot of Banes though, which is gonna make micro tricky for KiToO, but I think this is as much of a scouting mission as it is actually trying to get damage done. Perhaps more so. And KiToO now knows that there is a Spire. He himself is getting a Spire as well. But with the significant drone lead, I think it's safe to say that KiToO is gonna maybe just have a little more economy to support the effort to make units. Spires are finishing at the same time, but you know, it requires a little more than just the building to actually make the units, right? So we have KiToO building his third as well, and it's going to finish. The third is going to finish, and there is not even a third started for Bly. So again, this is just Bly fighting from behind once more. And there's some significant problems here for Bly moving forward into this mid game, because right now we have the first 7 mutas being made by KiToO. Bly going to drop spores, knowing that he is behind, knowing that he's not going to get the amount of mutas out to easily defend. So he's going to rely on a little static defense to help himself out. Taking the third right now, as KiToO is going to go ahead and just... I mean, he can do whatever he wants. He can do whatever the heck he wants. One of my friends, who I play and talk StarCraft with all the time, he really likes to say like, "Oh, you are allowed to do whatever the heck you want." Like he likes to say that, especially if you're ahead or if your opponent is doing something ridiculous. Not to say Bly's doing anything ridiculous, but he's behind. He has no map control. He is in no position to be aggressive at this point. KiToO can take a fourth if he wants to. He can just throw down all kinds of tech, get a second Spire if he felt like it. Okay, maybe that might just be, you know, a little overboard. But yeah, I think KiToO right now is he's feeling comfortable, but can't feel too comfortable though. Don't want to throw this game away, especially if it would just hand momentum right back to a player as potent as Bly. So still have to be careful. So right now, Bly finishing up with his third, rallying some drones over. Let's take a look at that Muta count here. Yeah, 14 to 8 lead for KiToO. Yeah, that's kind of pretty much what we expected here. I mean, you know, Bly recognized he had to do damage to even back up the game, but he couldn't get it done, and it gets harder and harder to do that. It really does. Upgrades. Bly going for offense, KiToO going for defense, both with +1 finished. Of course, difference being attack versus armor. And, you know, again, we see Bly going for the infestors. So when you're behind a Muta count, go infestor, as you hopefully will land the fungals you need to. But is it going to be enough? Is it going to come in time? KiToO now making his move. The infestors are not going to be in play for a bit here. Though there are spores in choice locations here for Bly, which will keep KiToO from easily moving in. So that has managed to buy the player from Acer a little more time, as he certainly needs it. 11 mutas to 21 of KiToO. The lead just grows bigger. Of course, now Bly is starting to invest in infestors, so it's going to be less mutas coming out of him from here on out. And again, when you're in this situation, you just have to cross your fingers and hope your opponent makes a micro mistake. Because if he does, then of course the mutas can be chained, and then we're looking at mutas just all disappearing for KiToO. But it's a big if. We're seeing a lot of infestors, though. That is going to be, for sure, a lot of potential for Bly in an upcoming battle. For now, we're going to have what's going on at that third base there for Blue. It is Bailey's running into the middle line. They do get some hits there. Could have been a lot worse, but they did take out a decent chunk and weaken a lot of the rest. So, nice sneaky effort by KiToO there. Bly seeing it just in time. He's lost a total of 12 units, 12 drones the entirety of this game, but otherwise, not too much there in that effort by KiToO. And Bly is on 66 workers now compared to KiToO's 72. So Bly has kind of, you know, made it back up there in the drone count. Of course, he has work to do for everything else. And KiToO, you know, I'll say he's playing, you know, a little bit passively here. Again, that's got to be out of caution to be careful. But the other thing too about Zerg is it's never like for other races in certain situations, you get to 200 supply and, you know, you feel like you should attack, right? Because, I mean, if you're ahead of your opponent in particular, you don't want to sit on 200 supply and then let your opponent catch up to 200 supply, because then your engagement is going to be that much harder, right? But in ZVZ, or whenever the Zerg is ahead, they don't necessarily need to feel like they attack when they're max, because they're banking, and then they can remax very quickly. So if, you know, he trades with Bly, he's going to remax a lot faster just because should have been mining more for the duration of this game. So we don't see him making his move just yet. He's adding on some more infestors first. He does have the upgrade lead at the moment with +2 Carapace finished up for the mutas. Bly only with +1 attack. And he isn't even upgrading the mutas anymore. So we're seeing Bly attempt a Ling run by there on that 4th base. KiToO gets to very quickly. Again, creep spread, man. He's killing it. I mean, I think at this point in time, Bly doesn't really have necessarily an excuse to not creep spread, but it just isn't. He just doesn't seem to, you know, be too concerned with that aspect of his macro. So we're kind of seeing the creep from KiToO crossing the midpoint, maybe encroaching on Bly's territory soon. Of course, the funny thing is, you know, creep tumors can cross into each other's territories, so there's nothing like you can't creep on someone else's creep. All right, here we go. Fungals landing on the mutas. This is just, you know, so many infestors, really impossible to, you know, avoid getting fungled. So you just kind of have to hope the Carapace carries you through, and, well, is it? Seems like the mutas have all died. KiToO is actually down in supply right now. He's relying on these queens, so the transfuses are going to be key here, but there are so many infested Terran and fungals also going down on these queens, and suddenly Bly has taken perhaps a really good engagement. Not even perhaps, like he now is going to threaten here with these mutas, but too many spores. He needs to back off, but that battle didn't go really well for KiToO at all. Not cost effective for him. And that's kind of sometimes what can happen when you play a little too passively. He is going to, you know, be able to reinforce and remake the units he lost, but perhaps the situation a little too scary a little more scary for him than it needed to be. These infestors now trying to run, and oh man, if there's an overseer coming from behind, these are all dead. Oh my goodness, Bly's so lucky that there's just no overseer in sight, as KiToO hasn't researched the Overlord upgrade either. Oh my gosh, if all of those infestors died, it could have easily been game over for Bly. Not even exaggerating here. But Bly able to save them. Those really expensive units, I might add. And KiToO is going to remax on Lings and Mutas. So Ling is very... So, I mean, this is almost... it evokes memories of Wings of Liberty here. Not so much the Mutas, but the Ling Infester aspect of it. Don't really usually see that combination anymore, but Bly has kind of forced the issue. You know, given how behind he was on the Muta count. Now he is running for his life here from the pack of Mutas from KiToO, as KiToO is looking to see if there's something here in this gold base. Not quite. So he's going to back off. And Bly is also just really, you know, approaching max right now as well, 183. Oh, Ling's making their way into Bly's base. Bly is now caught out of position. He's going to have to bring everything back in here. KiToO, of course, splitting his Lings here to try to maximize the amount of damage done. And we have Lings in every single base. Bly's going to be able to save that fourth quite handily. Third already defensed this natural, as well as Bly brings everything back. So that Ling run by, not as fruitful as KiToO would have liked. He's killed off a few workers. Bly down to 61 again. But really, for all intents and purposes, I think Bly has just earned himself enough of a chance here for us to say that he's back in the game, because he's maxed now. He's on 64 workers, slightly less, but really he's taken some fantastic engagements. KiToO just threw away a lot of Lings in that run by, and we're seeing a tech switch on the part of Bly as well. Looks like he's moving into ultras. So let's take a look at the Muta count. That's going to be important here. Both players similar, 28 to 33. With KiToO armed with infestors, Bly even having more infestors at 12. He is ready to switch into Ultra. He's not making anything yet. He's maxed. But he's going to engage KiToO, hopefully for his sake trade evenly, and then a remax on Ultra, which is something that KiToO isn't quite prepared to do. Doesn't even have the Hive yet. It's about to finish, but not quite yet. And actually, there's nothing there to defend it. There's nothing there to defend the Hive. The Mutas are just all on top of it right now, as KiToO has his whole army to the left. Can he bring the Mutas back in time? He will. He's going to go after these Mutas, and a little bit of a stutter from Bly means that he didn't get the first shot off, so he has to retreat. But that Hive is, oh my goodness, red health. But I mean, KiToO needs to, oh my gosh, Bly is back, and it's gone. The Hive is gone. No tier 3 tech for KiToO. No level 3 upgrade started. And that is going to be great news for Bly here, as he is trying to claw himself back into this game and has managed to do it off of a couple very good engagements for himself. Now we even see him feeling so enterprising as to take a 5th base. KiToO trying to remake his second one. I'd say tables have really turned right now in this game. We're seeing some ultras now being added on for Bly. Those are just going to gobble up the Lings on the ground for KiToO. KiToO playing so tentative in this game, and now it's just he's behind in tech. And these units he's made, are they going to really be helpful? We'll find out. Lots of infestors on both ends. Fungals shooting across the board on both ends. A lot of infested Terran because, of course, more infestors from Bly. These Mutas locked in. The infested Terran mowing down everything on top, but it does look like KiToO has managed to keep his Mutas alive a little longer. No, the Fungals are starting to wipe them out. These Fungals will wipe out the Mutas, guys. Oh, so many in red health. Ooh, KiToO running away just before those infested Terran pop. Now Bly countering with the Ultras. So Bly, you know, in his effort to switch to Ultra, did, of course, you know, not invest so much into air or anti-air any further. So KiToO did win that. But these Banelings looking to crash into the 3rd base. KiToO coming over to try to save it. Oh, that Baneling gets a good hit, that last one. And this is really so back and forth with these Ultras. They need some anti-air support right now. I appreciate the tech switch, but you can't forget that your opponent has Mutas. And I think maybe Bly thought that, you know, with his Muta count, with the infestors on his side, that he can make it happen and defeat KiToO's Mutas. But the thing is, KiToO has +2 Carapace. and that makes a big difference when we're talking about infestor fungals doing damage to them. So that's why those mutas were a lot more resilient, perhaps more resilient than Bly expected. And he still is able to hold his own here, but he's starting to just fall a little bit behind now because, oh man, GG, losing those drones left and right with that last Ling run by. And what a comeback. What a comeback. GG. 28-minute macro game with Zerg, and I gotta say, Bly really, I was talking about if Bly wins this game, he's got the momentum. Well, winning the game in this fashion in a comeback, that is some serious momentum. And if you're KiToO right now, you're feeling like, man, I just kind of threw that game. And you got, if I'm KiToO, I'd hopefully have short memory, like just kind of forget it and move on to game 5. But for that to have transpired in the way that it did, it's a shot to your confidence. I mean, KiToO had it. He held the Temple of Bane, rocketed to huge economic lead, huge muta lead, but perhaps was a little too passive for his own good.